Greetings, Elder Blacklight. Let us continue, but try to really comprehend.
The truth on our part. And this is the truth on the divine time of this matter. Divinely, we help to recognize the fact that the prophets could not have lied when they spoke and wrote of a separation of us. They could not have lied because that so much of it is being fulfilled. And that's taught in our writing with this not 100 years ago, but thousands of years ago. And why should we expect today to defeat those prophets writing their inspiration that they received concerning these times? Any more than they wrote and predicted accurately of war. We cannot say that he's a lie about the so-called Negro and his master.
Well, when you put it to me that way, you see, then I must say to you what I began to say earlier, and that is that I cannot accept religious teachings of this kind.
You cannot accept the religious teaching of
your religious teaching. I don't mean only yours. I mean anybody's. You see, I don't interpret life and the causes of things in those terms.
Well,
see, and this is why I have been able to say, I mean, I'm not, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm sure you're aware that many people have said, well, is this movement really Islam, or is this movement really a religion? And what is it? Well, I believe it is a religion. You see, and I honestly believe that it is a religion as much as anything is a religion.
Yes,
and if it's confusing, well, so is much other religions are confusing too. And I don't think that you can read the Quran, or you can read the Old Testament or the New Testament in the way that you can read any straightforward account of what is happening. There are many confusing things in there. And I have written something which is, I hope will be published, but it is not yet published, that I believe that if the best minds of a society were to spend 2,000 years on the teachings of Mr. Farad and of your teachings, they would make the same kind of, build up the same sort of literature that 2 or 3 or 5,000 years has built up on the basis of the Old or the New Testament. But having said all this, I must add that I am not committed to that as an individual, you see, because I cannot accept what somebody prophesied 5,000 years ago.
even though it has come to pass.
Well, I believe that prophecies are of the nature that you can always find evidence for what they have come to pass.
No.
See, all you have to do, human nature, human life is such, if you'll excuse me, just to finish this thought, human life is such that if you predict evil and shame and despair and terrible things, sooner or later you'll be right, because human beings are always producing these things.
You are telling me that you're an infidel and that atheist, and that you don't put me any credit.
You called him an infidel. Elijah called him an infidel.
On those things, if I can see the evidence and the reasoning behind them, not if somebody tells me that this comes from God. Because anybody can have visions. Anybody can say he has visions, I should say.
Well, you see, here is the thing. Because you look up, I don't look up for God. I look here for God. I don't look up for God. Because there's nothing up for me to look for God. God is telling me that you're an infidel and that atheist and that you don't put me any credit to what is formally said predicted.
I put credit on those things if I can see the evidence and the reasoning behind them, not if somebody tells me that this comes from God. Because anybody can have visions. Anybody can say he has visions, I should say.
Well, you see, here is the thing. Because you looked up I don't look up for God. I look here for God. I don't look up for God. Because there's nothing up for me to look for God. God is here. We are God. And we don't look up for the God.
Yes, well, I would agree to that extent. Certainly.
But if a wiser character among us proves that he's wiser and more, well, wisdom is power, then we just have to respect him as being such, right?
I agree, yes.
Yes, sir. Well, then, when we don't respect him as being such, we are called infidels or atheists for not doing so. Which
Well, that doesn't bother me. I'm not concerned. I'm not worried about that.
but you do say to me in words that you don't believe what one have said yesterday concerning God, if it was referring to God. And God only means we could consider it in English as a word meaning power and force. That which is superior to inferior on the thing.
If that's all you mean by it, then I would agree, yes. I believe in the superior over the inferior.
Check it.
Even the wise over the foolish.
Check it.
Absolutely.
We've got to. All right, well, that's all it means.
Understand.
We stand
Understand.
agreed on that.
You will say maybe that you wouldn't believe that Yakub exists for 6,000 years ago. Maybe you could tell me that. But I have proof that he did exist because of his work. And you could say maybe this don't mean anything at all yet. We should do these things, but you didn't find them merged together and function as you given a picture of what you think today. If it had been so, maybe the same general laws would work successfully for us today.
Look at the question of pick Jews alone. I have met Jews in various parts of the world who are dark, who are as dark as Negroes, as dark as dark Negroes, who have features which are considerably different from my own.
May I say it, pardon me for cutting in, but may I say it to you, do you consider the word even Jew as a race or nation?
I don't know what, it's very difficult to say.
Oh, no, sir. All right, you cannot debate that.
It's all kinds of things. I'm not going to evade it. I'm not saying that you can't call it a race, you can't call it a nation, you can't call it only a religion, that you've got to call it, it's many things. And it's different things to different people. Now, to the Jews in Israel, it means one thing. Now, to Jews outside, it may mean another. And among the Jews outside of Israel, it may mean different things. Just the other day, you may have read in the newspaper that a man who is a Christian priest became a citizen of Israel and calls himself a Jew of the Christian faith. Because he says, in Israel, to be a Jew is to be a member of a nation, not a member of a religion.
What they're talking about back then, in the 50s and the 60s, we're talking about it today on Black Light. This is to be continued.